What's up, guys? It's Jake, and today we're going to be making a hyper-personalized cold email system. So this is going to be a good one. It's going to be super helpful, help you generate a lot more leads and hopefully more sales to your service or business, whatever you're trying to do over there. You can even sell this system if you want. And so it's going to be broken up into three parts. It's going to be the part that's going to find the target companies, and then we're going to find the decision makers in those companies, and then we're going to enrich them, personalize an email, and have it automatically sent out. And this is infinitely scalable, and so you can do it for hundreds or thousands or however many companies and people you'd like to do, depending on your outreach you have desired for yourself. So before we go through it, and this is going to be a three-part series because each sequence here probably takes a little bit of time to explain. Because the back-end tools we're going to be using are going to be Apollo, which is basically like a database of leads. We're going to be using Google Sheets as our database to store those leads, and then we're going to be using N8N to tie it all together. Everything else that's working inside there, besides for like the large language models like ChatGPT, is going to be all native integrations in N8N. So before I get started, if at any point during this video you have questions, comments, anything like that, you want to see something else, feel free to comment below, and now let's jump right into it. Okay, so I'm going to start off by walking through each of these flows here. So, and kind of telling you how it works, what's it about, and all that stuff. But we are only going to be building this singular flow today, the target company flow, because each of these flows, like I was saying before, is going to take a little bit of time to work through. Mostly because the database we're working with, or the lead base, whatever you want to call it, Apollo is kind of a pain in the ass to work with their API. So jumping right into it. So this first flow, of course, is going to target those companies. And it does this through just an API search and some code and querying and whatnot. And I'll walk you through all this, and I will build this with you step by step today. So this one you won't have to worry about. The other two videos are to come, which is going to be the decision maker flow. This one's going to help find those decision makers. And the personalization, which is going to actually scrape the company website, use that information to make customized emails and send it out to the person that is the decision maker that we found in the company. Okay, so I'll start by walking through each node in this flow, and then I'll create a new flow for us to build it node by node. So it starts with a limit, and the limit is actually the end of the flow. The reason why is because Google Sheets gets rate limited. So if you send a lot of different information, queries, whatever you call it, to the node, it's gonna get an error and it's gonna stop working. So we do have that limit to prevent that from happening, or at least stop it from happening more, because it does still happen. In N8N, the Google nodes, the Google Sheet nodes, aren't very good at handling a lot of data. And then we are going to have this Google Sheet nodes here that is basically going to just look at our database. And our database is going to be here. This is a fresh one that I made, but I'll show you this one. I've got a couple of these. I'll show you this one. So this is what it looks like. So it's going to have all these hundreds of thousands of companies in it. It's going to be able to track who you've emailed, who you haven't, which is a good company, which is not. But the main point of this node is that it's going to be able to read all the different rows that are in the Google Sheets. And why that's important, and I'm going to skip these nodes for a second, and why that's important is because the company search node I have here for N8N basically works in a way where it doesn't paginate or paginate, however the heck you say that. So what that means is that if you, like, let's say sent to get the, in this flow we have the first 50 companies. We're getting the first page with 50 companies. But let's say you just say 50 companies and you don't identify just a company page. Then every time you run this, you're going to get the same 50 companies. You could run it one time, you could run it 100,000 times. Doesn't matter, you'll always get roughly the same 50 companies with some variance of one or two companies potentially. And so obviously that's a problem because we want to be able to get all of the companies, not just the first 50. So basically the Google Sheets node here acts as an indexing database. I don't know the right word to find there. but essentially it acts to index the next page. And that's where these two code nodes come in. And if you're not super familiar or comfortable with JavaScript, don't worry. I promise you, most of the code here I did through ChatGPT. So you can do the same thing, and even better, you can just copy exactly what I have, because we know it works, and you don't have to fumble around with it. So this first is your company's failsafe. All that means is basically when you have a fresh sheet like this, it has nothing to index off of for the next node. So it just says, hey, if there's nothing in this Google Sheets right here, we're still gonna run the first 50 companies. And after that, this node basically serves no purpose. And then we're gonna go to this node here. And this is basically just going to say, hey, every 50 companies that are in this sheet, or I should say every 50 rows that are in this sheet, we're going to go to the next page. We're always going to ask for 50 companies per page, but every 50 companies that are in the sheet, we're going to get the next page. So after 50 companies, you'll do page 2, next 50 companies, page 3, next 50 companies, and so on, in perpetuity until we run out of companies to search for. And the company search node, I'm not going to open it up here, but I will build it with you step by step. The reason why is because it has my API key in there, and probably pretty dangerous to put that out there so everybody could steal all my leads. And then this splits out. So basically, once this returns 50 companies, this is going to split those 50 companies into single individual items, because otherwise you just get one blob of data, and that's probably not ideal. So it splits into 50, and then it appends it to the row. So basically just adds the company, and then you see it wires back to the start, and we want to make sure we're not sending 50 results, so we limit to 1, and we just restart. Cool. Everyone clear on that? And awesome. So I am going to start fresh here. Let's create a new workflow. And we're going to go trigger manually. And then we're going to start out with, of course, that limit node I was talking about. And then we're going to go to a Google Sheets. And we're going to do get rows in sheet. If you're familiar with make.com, this is basically search the sheets, same thing. And I actually already made a Google Sheets for this. I just called it sample database because I'm just using it for this video. And then it's going to get I'm going to get rid of this guy too. And it's going to get the companies. And that's all you have to do. Perfect. Oh, I should go over one thing, and I'll help you guys out with this really quick. So with Google Sheets, especially if you're self-hosting in N8N, you're going to require some sort of OAuth 2 authorization. Now, I've only done the self-hosting in N8N, so I don't know if it is required in the non-self-hosting where you pay for a subscription. But I'll show you guys how to do this really quick. So basically, you have to input some information here, and you have to create something in your Google Cloud Console. So I'm going to go to Google Cloud Console and log in. Okay, I'm going to log in on the other page so you guys can't see my password. All right, cool. So we can see I'm working in quantumflowai.net in my N8N self-hosting project. So you see here, you first have to create a project. Super easy. You basically just click create project and then you're done. And then you also have to allow API access. I've already done this in this one, but if you go here and you just type in API and services, enable API and services. You just click there and then you're good. And then I should be able to just click the Google Sheets API. Perfect. And from here, I just need to create new credentials. So I'll go to credentials, and then I will create a credential, OAuth 2. And I'm not going to create a credential for myself today because I already have them. So I'll walk you through how that actually works just real quick. So you name it whatever the heck you want to name it, and then you go add URL. And the URL you add is this thing right here. You just paste that in, and then you're going to click create, and then it's going to give you this client ID and this client secret. And so with those two pieces of information, you put those in, you sign in with Google, Bang, bang, boom, you're done. Pretty simple. I know it can be confusing the first time. And so if you don't know how to do it, you need help with it, make a comment below and I'll make a video where I personally create one and so you guys can follow along. Okay, and then next we're gonna go to the code node, code in JavaScript. You just can delete this. I don't even know what that is. And then I'm just gonna copy and paste because I doubt anyone is gonna be interested in watching me type all this through. So this is the seed 0 items. It doesn't matter what you call it, still does the same thing. It's gonna seed 0 items. So basically what that means is that if there is no rows in the sheath, length equals 0, then it's gonna return that there is, we're gonna go for 50 pages, or per page 50, and the first page. Now that one's done, and feel free to copy what I just gave you there. Then we're going to go into the second one, and this one is going to be the indexing, if that's the right word. And this one I'm also going to copy and paste, of course, because it is a pain to write all this out. So it's basically going to say, okay, every time we're going to get 50 results, and it's going to look at all of the input rows, and it's going to process that to show us how many rows there are, and then if once there is 50 or more rows, it's going to add one to the page. So company page is going to be adding one to the page. So then when the results get returned, it returns the per page amount of whatever it may be for how many rows you have. And then it's going to feed that information into our next node, which is going to be an HTTP node, everybody's favorite. And so all of these HTTP nodes are going to be posts. So make sure you click post for all of them, because post just means that you're getting the data. And then the URL is going to be the API endpoint, which is going to be apollo.io. Oops, actually that's not what we want. We want Apollo API documentation. Okay. And then we're going to go to organization search. And we're going to click this, which that is going to be the API endpoint. And then we're going to send headers here. Cool. And then the headers that we're going to send are going to be a few things. So it's going to be cache dash, oh, probably capitalize that, cache dash control. And then it's going to say no cache. Basically means that it remembers items. It doesn't actually really do anything for our flow. It's just something that you might as well add just in case it helps at some point. And then we're going to go application-JSON. And so it's going to say we're going to accept the application-JSON type information. And then this is where you put your API key. So it's going to be X API-key. And all this stuff, you can see here, header is X API key. I'm not certain. I think you might not need these two. I put them anyways because a lot of other HTTP requests, they're helpful to have, and it's just force of habit. But you might not need it for the Apollo API request. Okay, and now the next question is, I didn't mean to delete those Apollo documentation, but it's cool. Pull them back up. Log into this guy. So how do we make our API key? Where do we get that? So you log into your Apollo, which you can get on, by just joining Apollo. It's like $1,000 a year for like 120,000 data points. And it's also free for like a certain amount. So you don't have to pay for it. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And then we're going to go down to API keys. And I already have my test API key here, but when you do it, you go create, type in the name of your API key. For you guys, you'll just set it as master, but you also want to select all of these to make sure that it's able to access all the information available. Anyways, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here. And that's it for the headers. And all the headers are going to say the same thing. So you might want to take a second and copy this node while it's right here, and then just use that as your base node to save yourself some time for the other HTTP requests we'll be making later in the flow. So going down here, and I'm going to use JSON for this one, just because for the body content, I don't know, it just seems to work better. So we're going to go back over here. No, that's not, oh, I deleted it. Apollo API documentation. Okay. And then organization church. All right. So it's got a bunch of different things here, and it depends on what kind of parameters you want to include in your API search. There's a ton of them. You can use them for all kinds of different things, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to definitely use organization range of employees. Basically, this says, hey, we're only going to find companies that have a certain amount of employees. The reason why we do that, I feel, is rather obvious, but most of us don't want to be finding Microsoft and Google. We want to be finding the smaller companies that will actually hear us out on our pitch. So we're going to add that one. Anytime you're typing JSON, you want to go bracket first, and then you use these quotes and all this, and so you guys can just follow along, and you'll pick it up super quick. The next one we're going to want to use is going to be organization locations. So organization locations, we're going to post that in here, and I am just going to say, I don't know, United States. So I know, well, we get all the people in the United States. Oh, excuse me, I did not include these quotes. How foolish. So organization location, it's going to find organizations that have 1 to 200 employees in the United States now. And then going back to here, there's a ton of excluders and includers you can use to help narrow your search results. And I'm not going to use any of them because I don't need them. What I do need is, where is it? It's going to be the keywords. Here we go. Okay. Cool. So what I'm going to use is these keywords. So I'll go here, and then I will bang, bang, boom. And then, I don't know, we'll go for marketing agencies. Quick pause, phone call. All right, we're back. Phone calls. Okay. Gonna make this chair go a little bit higher. I've been slacking today. I've been slouching. Cool. All right. So now it's gonna find companies within this range. So 1 to 200 employees in the United States, and if they're marketing agencies. So lastly, we need these two. It's gonna be the page and per page. So you just got page. One. And then we'll go actually, I'm pretty sure it's just one. Yeah, that's it. Now it's blue. Then we go per page 50. Close bracket. Okay. And I'm just going to test this singular node right here, right now, because I'm hard coding it, even though we're actually going to link it to the results from the code node, but just to see if it works, just to make sure that we node executed properly. It says that, but where are my results? Must start with HTTP. What the heck? Organization, keywords, marketing agency. And so this is why we do it live as well. So we can go through the problem solving. You guys can see how that happens as well. I know what it is. Look at this. There's a space right there. You damn spaces. Okay. Cool. So it's going to get back per page, 50, page 1. And then these are going to be the organizations. Market tips. You see we get the website URL, LinkedIn, primary domain, etc. And scale Army careers, blah, blah, blah. Next one. And there's going to be 50 of these. Not all of them are going to be qualified organizations, but we'll add some filters later to make sure that we get rid of those annoying, not qualified people. Great. So that works. Split out. And split out, we can actually just type in organization here. And that'll work just fine because it's actually going to find the organization. These organizations. Might be in organizations. Let's see. Yeah, it's annoying. Why didn't you work? Yeah, we'll figure it out in a second. Anyways, we'll complete the flow, and then I'll come back to that, and then I'll show you how it... Oh, snap. What the hell? What the hell? I'm going to be so pissed if it didn't save. Okay, there we go. It did. Thank God. Okay. Split. And we're going to say organizations. Great. I misspelled it again, didn't I? Google Sheets. And then this is going to be the last node in our flow. So we're almost there. Append row. And then append row, we're going to append to sample database. And we're going to append to companies in sample database. And all we have to do is enter in the JSON there. But before we do that, I'm actually going to make sure that this node is wired up right. So let's go down here. And then for this one, it should be something like $JSON dot company underscore per underscore page. Maybe. Okay, we'll see. I think that should be it. And then for this one, it should be $JSON dot company dot underscore page close JSON. Oh, expression. There we go. There we go. That's what was wrong. Cool. So that should work. And now we're just going to run it. I'm going to make sure that the sample database company is cool. So since we're at the sample database, it should run all the way through. So let's see, all the way through to here. Interesting. I think you need to always output data. Execute once. And quality life, retry and fails. So in case that ever does get rate limited, it'll try and try again until 5 tries go by. And I'm actually just going to execute to this. Okay. Oh, it reverted. So annoying. Okay. Sweet. So, look at that. Accelerate. Marketing agencies, we see we got the right page and per page. Why do we only get one organization? I put company per page here. So we're on page 50 in the first company. Okay, that makes sense. I'm just dumb. Execute again. That looks right. Page per page. Look, it's the same results as it should be. Sweet. Then execute this step. Look at that, we got 50 items. and then I'll execute this step in a second. So now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go ID here, website URL here. I already made these fields. So the important things for this one, guys, for me, for my flow, is going to be company name, organization ID, primary name, and website URL. Everything else, not necessary. These two are things I include in for some filtering later on. Company name, market tips. Okay. Primary domain, really important. We're going to use that to find the decision makers. And if you guys want to add a date, you can. It really doesn't matter. I used to add dates all the time. Now I don't really care to, unless I need it for tracking purposes. So I'm just going to leave it empty. Okay. Save. And let's watch this bad boy rip. All right. Look at that. Look at it go. All right, so you guys can see it works. You see how it works, and that's the flow. So that's it for this, guys. So this is gonna be the first, like I said, of the 3-part video. If you have any questions about it, feel free to drop in the comments. I'll be sure to answer it at some point. Potentially even make a whole new video. If you guys have questions, I guess I'm repeating myself, but if you guys want to see anything else, feel free to let me know. I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. I'm going to continue to pump out more content that I hope is going to be helpful for you guys to be able to create more automations, grow your businesses, and make your lives a little bit easier. And hopefully move the needle in terms of making more money, because that's what we all want. So again, I'm Jake. That's it for the day, guys, and have a good one.